Join us on Arena, ANEKE TV's premium current affairs program, where politics, development, and governance come live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We host top professionals and thought leaders who speak their minds on issues shaping Nigeria and the world. It's inclusive, enriching, and absolutely captivating.
The roadmap is let's have our environment secured so that investors can come.
If you don't know what economic security is, kidnapping will tell you what it is. You kidnap for ransom.
Customers are going to get these meters, and like we said, it's at no cost.
There are things that dialogue can handle. But when you leave it, you want to use a kinetic approach alone. You cannot.
For discussions that promise insight and deliver truth, stay tuned, stay informed, and keep watching Arena, only on ANEKE TV. You're welcome to our program, Arena on ANEKE TV, Enugu, Southeast Nigeria. And today we are going to discuss an issue, a topic that says 2025. Just last year, we just entered into 2026, 2025 in retrospect. A lot of things happened in Nigeria in the year 2025. And I have very erudite scholars in the studio with me here who are going to dissect this topic. Let me start from my right. I have Dr. Maxwell Ngene. Is a teacher. When I say teacher, I'm talking about those who teach communication arts in the university. Dr. Ngene, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you for inviting me.
And from my left here, I have another erudite scholar, Dr.
Ambrose Iboke.
Ambrose Iboke,
Our chairman.
who is here, even at the shortest notice to come and lend voice to this topic. Ambrose, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
A lot of things happened in Nigeria in 2025. And of course, if we begin to discuss it within the period or the timing of this program, we may not be able to exhaust it. But we will attempt what we are doing today. Let me ask Dr. Iboke, could you just give an overview from your perspective about the happenings in Nigeria in the political scene, or an overview generally? Then we can now go down to politics.
Okay, thank you very much, and I want to wish the viewers a happy new year once more. 2026 will be good for all of us.
Amen. Oh.
It is a season where many things will happen.
Amen. Oh.
In retrospect, 2025 was a very fantastic year for Nigeria, where a lot of things happened, both fantastically negative and fantastically positive. In the 2025, it was a mid-term review for political office holders who were sworn in 2023. So 2025 gave a mid-term assessments, and from many indications, both from the presidential level, down, there were a lot of, apart from few governors who did well, the rest, most of them didn't do well, even at the federal level, really well. We saw the economy nosediving too. We saw Naira skyrocketing against the dollar, losing value. We almost clicked 2000 at a point. We're at the point we're at 1718 before it started coming down to like, so we closed the year with 1450 or thereabout, which is very bad. We went from 2022 from a bank rate of 460 Naira to a dollar. Before 410 Naira to a dollar, that's the bank rate, to almost 1,800 Naira, almost 2,000 Naira in a matter of months. So it is not good for the Naira, and inflation jumped in 2023, 2025 too. 2025 we saw a lot of topsy-turvy policies, up and down. We saw where NNPC refused to sell crude to Dangote refinery, local refinery, where we still preferred import of crude of refined products. We saw the naked dance in the markets, where which I'll say positively, the bourgeois and the elites fought themselves, Dangote against NNPC, NNPC against Dangote, where he threatened to expose those who owned refineries in Malta, in a country called Malta. And then we saw all the shenanigans that, led to to the sack of the NNPC boss, but they gave him a soft landing and then they said, let go and resign. And that was the way he accused him of spending stupendously. So the battle won. We also saw a lot of strikes in the academic sector. Students were locked out from the classroom many times. ASU and federal government, the battle continued. But at the end of the year, we also found out that they said they were trying to reach some agreements and settlements. 2025 was also a year we saw a lot of the government's somersaults in policies where they couldn't even name constitute board of directors, where they couldn't even constitute governing councils of universities, of most of their universities or tertiary institutions. A particular case is even UNN and UNIZIC, where we had multiple changes. UNN we had to have two acting vice chancellors before the substantive one was got. Chairman of the system was changed. We also had chairman of UNN was changed 3 times in respect of just 1.5 years. The first one was replaced before even they started work. The second one was also replaced sometime early last year, February, and then we got the substantive one we have here. And we saw many names. We also saw names of dead people in appointments, which is very, very
shocking.
Then we also saw some macabre dance in the Senate, where things that were supposed to be constitutionally voted for were put on voice votes, which is the dangerous precedent. Constitutional changes are not supposed to be put on voice votes. Those who say, no. You're actually supposed to vote, and we're supposed to know those who voted too. So those things were also swept. We saw the Senate President also having some fights with his members. Prominent among it was Senator Natasha Boti. We also saw the fight for additional state creations in the Senate and in the National Legislature, where instead of looking at the nitty-gritty of the merits for state creation, all people were just busy trying to carve out their local government and states. And that bungled a lot of things. But at the end of the year, I think there was some streamlining. And, for example, Southeast now was together saying that, okay, look, we need an additional state before you start talking about creating states to make it equal. And that is where there was this argument about, that Enugu North Senatorial Zone has been the only monolithic zone like that since 1979, that the zones that constituted the senatorial zones have all become states of their own. And then, so at least they met a consensus that, they are pushing another state, and I think a TT state for the Southeast, and bringing some parts of Anambra, Imo, Abia, and then creating a state from it. And we also saw an attempt by people like Ned Nwoko to shortchange the Southeast by trying to say a Neoma state should come into Southeast, which courageously the Asaba of Asaba refused, and they corrected him immediately. They said, no, if you want to create extra state for South-South, a Neoma state can be in the South-South and the extra state. So there was a lot. Then we need international diplomacy. We joked too far by saying that we wanted to be members of the Permanent Security Council of United Nations. We saw our president not going to Onga, that is the United Nations General Assembly. Did they attend? I said it was in a party in Oyo State or something. I don't know what they were doing there. We saw nations not taken seriously. We saw countries like Mali and who have earlier defected, do rogue coups, coup d'etat in their countries, poking their hands in the eyes of our president. And while we're still trying to be tough on that, they seized our aircraft, our military aircraft, and ensure that they dangerously humiliated us in international space. It took a contingent to go there. So the temerity to even seize our plane was something else, and they did it, and they went scot-free. The international scene also, we saw when Nigeria, was, let me not use strong words here, but we're not tactical enough to just stay away. And with the Palestine and Israeli issue, we started dancing to the tune of saying, oh, Israel has no right to be fighting Palestine and the rest. I think Nigeria should focus on the things that will better the country and Africans. Just like Ramaphosa of South Africa also, I think Africans should just be careful to focus on what is the matter for Africa, because when it concerns Africa, other nations from other continents don't come fighting for Africa. That was also a false power made by Nigeria in the diplomatic arena. And which the biggest one was also the fact that the Nigerian government allowed the terrorists to keep killing the citizens over time. And it reached a crescendo. Churches, kidnappings continued. Churches were, people were kidnapped from their churches, killings on their roads everywhere. Children were being adopted. And our president was still traveling around the country, around the world, taking out. So until the school prefects of the world, Mr. Donald Trump of the United States, came around and tried to tell us that we are not doing things right and we must be corrected, and threatening to deal with us. That is where our government now woke up and started doing some frantic activities and the rest. And then, of course, ended in that line with the bombings on Christmas Day and some other. But the war is still continuing. And so it has been a year of economically, Nigeria did not do well. In many of my national TV outings, I disagreed with the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics that any statistical analysis you do about inflation or about gaining traction economically that does not translate to economic realities of Nigerians, that is just textbook economy. And I call it also voodoo economics, because the prices of things didn't go down. We are still paying high for electricity, we are paying high for data and calls, we are still paying high for petrol. So when things don't go down, and you said we are improving, when I'm buying things 4 times the cost I'm buying, which is 400%, you tell me inflation increased by 33%. There's a problem. When factories are closing down, you say that unemployment is coming down. It's not correlating. So that means, I say, where do they get these figures? Or they just sit there in the offices and do some kind of statistical analysis. For us public affairs analysts, we don't join the, and good enough, we are all also scholars, so we know how these things can be manipulated. So, but because it's not translated to economic reality. So 2025 was not a good year for Nigeria in many respects.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iboke. Let me come to you, Dr. Ngene. Iboke has really laid.
I'm wondering why you invited me.
No, an overview. But you see, while he was speaking, he talked about, he used an acronym, or he used the word voodoo economics. So, and you are an expert also.
He's saying that people are cooking up data.
Yes, so you are an expert in communication. So, yeah. So when
just like
voodoo economics is used, what does it imply to Nigerian economy?
Well, it's difficult to even make any addition after the erudite scholar had spoken. But the truth is that when he was talking about voodoo economics, he was merely saying that it's part of the corruption that has to do with Nigeria, where people manipulate data to justify their own thinking, things that are not in conformity with the reality of the situation in our country. And he's very correct to say so, like he said, it was a mixed year for us as Nigerians. Those who live in Nigeria found it difficult to have good lives. Too many bills, inability to pay school fees, inability to provide nutritious food, inability to understand the tax regime. A lot happened. The mega party formation, certain key opposition figures moving to ADC, talking about Atiku Abubakar, P2B. Looking also at what happened in Rivers State, where President Tinubu, for the very first time, I hope I'm right, where he had to suspend a sitting governor Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months, bring in one Ibokete, a retired naval chief. A lot happened.
Yeah.
And these things, as far as we are concerned, were anti-democratic, because that's not the way it should. We've not been told the underlying problems. We don't know whether the underlying problems have been solved, and so on and so forth. In Nigeria, we saw a situation where people who do not belong to the ruling party are brought in and given ministerial positions, and they begin to act as if they are president of the country, creating problem in the polity, heating it up, and nothing happens to them. We saw a situation in Nigeria where there was a change in ANEKE, talking about the removal of Yakub, who has also been appointed minister.
No, ambassador.
Ambassador. Nigerians who are saying are asking, why is he being nominated to be an ambassador? Is it to say thank you for the way and manner he conducted one of the worst elections in Nigeria? Is it a way of saying thank you to him? The new man that just came on board, how was he chosen? Who appointed him? Is he going to do a better job than Yakub Mohammed has done? Or is he going to continue with the former system, the former INEC staff that we know that most of them are terribly corrupt, fighting to become electoral officers because they know that oppositions bring money, etc. We also know what has happened in Nigeria in the academic arena, where government make promises to intellectuals, university lecturers without fulfilling such promises. We saw how Nigerians began to hail President Tinubu, who began to be the voice that was heard regarding the Christian genocide in Nigeria. We saw the effort by those in government, particularly our brothers from the north, trying to deny something that is easily discernible, something everybody could see, that over the years, it is as if it has become a crime to be a Christian, where some people feel they are more superior than others, where people no longer respect people from other geopolitical zones, other ethnic nationalities, where Nigerians forget that Nigeria is bigger than any single individual, and that injury to one Nigeria is injury to all Nigerians. We saw a country where there are new lexicons. They talk about unknown gunmen. They talk about this and that. So there are a litany of things we can talk about. But the truth is that Nigerians are becoming smarter. They are becoming more enlightened, thanks to the social media, thanks to technology, thanks to people like ANEKE Television, thanks to the proliferation of media organizations that are now giving voice to the voiceless. I believe that with time, 2026 could be better.
Okay, we'll come to the prospect of 2026. So, in the area of politics, you have, of course, my guests have enumerated a whole lot of things that happened, both on the positive and on the negative in 2025. And here we're going to, move a little to the political arena. Both have mentioned about the problem in Rivers State, where a sitting governor, elected sitting governor, and members of the House of Assembly were suspended. And I want to ask you, Dr. Ngere, is it lawful for the president of the country to seek an approval from the National Assembly for a state of emergency, and as well suspend an elected executive and elected members of the legislature in Rivers State.
Thank you very much. I'm not a lawyer, but commonsensically I feel it's not right because they left a vacuum. Those that were suspended are people deemed to have been elected by the electorate. So to that extent, it means that they are legitimate, that you don't just remove them with just a signature, a stroke of the biro. Now it wasn't good for our democracy. And if you look at it even from the point of view that the underlying problems that led to the crisis are yet to be solved. Even as we are speaking, only recently I heard the former governor of Rivers State talking about Nyesom Wike, who is the minister for FCT Abuja, where he's warning even the secretary of a party where he's not a member, the secretary of the APC. Yes, he's a minister of the APC government. Yes, he's working as minister because he caught the fancy of Tinubu as president. But the truth is that he's not an APC member. But we heard him when he was describing the governor of Rivers State as, you know, there was a word he used, I can't remember readily now, so-called governor, you know, that kind of derogatory language, where the APC national secretary was saying, please, don't say this kind of thing. It's not right. Because this man you're talking about is our full member. He's our member. You need to respect him. And so on and so forth. So, it's not really right. But I've heard also other colleagues of ours who are analysts who are trying to analyze it. They are now giving a lot of credit to Tinubu, saying that Tinubu was very smart, that he knew. Because now, from what they are saying, it's like they are shortchanging Wike, because Wike appeared to have exhausted his powers because he's no longer in the good books of the APC, because he's yet to declare his membership of the APC. At the time he was deriding his own members of his own party, the PDP. So he's neither here nor there, so to say. So it wasn't really right. But you also hear analysts, critics from the other side, saying that there's more to this than meets the ordinary eyes. That the federal government under Tinubu may have used that window to remove money that they are going to use to fight the next election. You hear people say this and that. And those who are saying that are looking at it from the prism, the lens that brought Buhari when Amechi was governor.
But they were only alleging.
Well, I'm not saying that these things are things we can be. That's why we're analyzing. Yeah. At times, when you look at certain things, you begin to gauge what public opinion is all about. What are people saying? What are they thinking? You need to engage the people more. Maybe Iboke could have more to say on this.
So, he just stirred it up. The River State problem.
That controversy
has not been solved. You know, even when they said they had a meeting, a peace meeting and all that. And presently, the present problem is that Fubara should not think about contesting election for the second time.
And that the leadership of APC should not come to River State.
But then Fubara already is the #1 person of APC in River State. And the leader of the party, the way it is. That is what...
By virtue of his position as governor.
By virtue of his position. And that's his mentor, or whatever, his
former Oga.
His godfather, is not even a member of that his party, and should not even... In fact, the secretary of APC, national secretary of APC, alluded to Wike as becoming an interloper, meddlesome interloper. That is not in APC, and you should not, think about becoming
Creating image problem for
creating
APC.
more problems, you know. So, and Turaki on his own was telling APC, why are you now? So Wike is now fighting you even from outside. This is the masquerade which you people brought out, and now see what is happening. So I want you to come in and tell us exactly what you think about the whole situation. Is it a breach of fundamental right for one to begin to say that Fubara should not run for a second time?
I remember one of the songs of Wike's political musical band. Agreements.
Sing it, Ambrose. It's like you're good at it too.
So, political promises in Nigeria are used to settle tensions. Once that is achieved, what happens after the tension is between luck. If you have luck, the agreement is kept to. In most cases, the agreements are discarded immediately you attain the peace. Because for what is happening in Rivers, the peace that achieved after the meeting with the president was the peace, I said it was the peace of the graveyard. In graveyard, there is no peace, actually, but the whole environment looks peaceful. Because the people that inhabit in graveyard are dead men and women. So they are not expected to do some activities, except in Hollywood, where you hear ghosts want to cross main road and look whether a vehicle is coming. but basically, no activities. So that is why there is peace. But for the living, when we say peace of the graveyard, it means that a peace that is not really existing. Now, for Rivers, the politics, let's take it back a little to 2022, before the primary, where we came single-handedly against the advice or choices or recommendations of the PDP stakeholders, brought his boy, his person he groomed, someone who was playing the fool while in office, to become governor, based on only one thing:
loyalty.
That he can manipulate him. At least his son, they show that I can twist him anyhow I like. And he went ahead to twist him. Nominated virtually all his commissioners, brought almost all the House of Assembly members, nominated his principal officers around him.
Party chieftain.
Even wanted to nominate even his cook. I don't know. Everything was controlled, chief of staff, everything. And we heard from the grapevine, you are in the media, so we don't discard rumors. We are just like Intel. If you go to military Intel or even DSS, and they will tell you, don't discard rumors. In our own profession, we call it the grapevine. We pick news from the grapevine. We can pick feelers and then use it to go and investigate and find out whatever. So we don't discuss it the way we are. Say, it's rumor. We have not substantiated it. We can perceive it and then we can follow it. It's just like a dog following the smell. And so there were also people who said that it got so bad that at a point, even the visitors received the government house in Port Harcourt, that the FCT minister will call and say, how did you have a meeting with this person? A governor, a sitting governor? I know one person, at least a person in government house in Port Harcourt. And we know feelers, we know our journalist friends also who cover
the correspondence there. So we all, we know things happening around. And it got to that bad that even to sign files. Someone in Abuja needed to clear your files, but it's sitting governor. So I think we could overreach.
Overbearing.
It became overbearing.
Authoritarian.
And
autocratic.
Juxtapose this with what Tinubu said. Also, one aspect of 2025 was on the 4th of January 2025, the President of the Federal Republic paid a courtesy visit to Enugu State, where Enugu was an opposition state, and he came. And in the reception, there was, what I remember this was juxtaposing Wike and the Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. The president was greeting everybody. Greeted the former president, Senate President Kenan Amani, greeted everybody. When he got to His Excellency Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, he greeted him. Then he wanted to sit down. And then the president kept talking. He said, thank you for what you have done for me. thank you for giving free hand and all those things, you know. Because what he's doing is that I think he was also thinking of rivers. How, because you helped somebody or you were there as an incumbent that facilitated, because the incumbents are powerful.
Midwife
in Nigeria, they're midwife their successor. There's nothing you can tell me about it. If an incumbent doesn't want somebody to succeed him, they go out to frustrate the person. And the person, there are 99.999 chance percent of politics in Nigeria since 1999 that those who the incumbent did not want didn't enter. It's only 0.111 something. That's the point. So it's very rare. So every governor that is an incumbent must have been midwifed by that is how democracy functions here. I don't know how it functions other places. So we thanked him for allowing the governor to work, for giving the governor free hand. I think he used that language. So just oppose it to Rivers. This man wanted to be running Rivers from. So at a point, as a governor in Nigeria, you're a very powerful figure. And if somebody that wants to, even if you are the father that gave birth to him, if at that point you are not trying to make him a pauper, a puppet, pushing him around, I think something snapped at a point for the governor. And he said, no, this is not what I signed for. This is not what I thought it would be.
I'm not going to be
agreement, and they will allow you, commissioner, this, that. Well, you want to run the show, you know. So I think that's where they started having issues. And then some stakeholders too, who initially were not aligning with the governor because of how he emerged, now started supporting him. So the governor now had some backings and then started also bearing his fangs. And at the point, Wike, of course, started fighting dirty. The governor also started fighting dirty, and the president had to intervene. Now, the president said strategically that why he intervened was that they were already planning to impeach the governor, and that if that happens, it's going to cause more upheaval, and they had to intervene. Now, the agreement, everything being said after the expiration, but what happened was that the senior advocates of Nigeria, a lot of senior lawyers, legal analysts, and the rest came on air. Some justified why that the president did the right thing. Others said no, that the president did not do the right thing. So every lawyer was interpreting the Constitution, the written words, the textual Constitution, and the spirit of the Constitution in their own framework. They were framing it according to how they understood it or how partisan they were. So at the point, there was no consensus on whether the president did the right thing or the wrong thing. But one fundamental wrong thing was that we do not suspend that they didn't even want to declare a state of emergency, that the National Assembly would take over the work of the states that emergency was declared. But we saw this, the sole administrator was doing budgets, was approving this thing, was paying off money, was without clearing from the National Assembly. And that was a very sore point. So we saw a lot of things that happened as if we are in a military region where there was no control at some of the things happening. The icing of the cake was also this issue of tax reform that they raised the alarm that
they're smuggling something.
They smuggled some clauses there that were not there. And that has never happened. We have never heard that kind of thing before. Where the National Assembly sent a bill to be assented. And then at that time, it was, something like
doctored.
Very, very grave.
Criminal offenses.
But we're yet to be told exactly what.
Who will tell you? That's your job now.
Release the certified
true copy.
Told some people are accusing the Senate president that he has ordered the clerk not to release it. Sometimes we read the one. So let the original one be released. The lawmakers themselves, the committee that sat on it, should release it. So that we can start. So these are the things that goes. Who has gone again? So that is also why the media is doing its own bit. Some people are too hard on the media. The media does not enforce things. The media will always engage and raise the conversation, set the agenda for the discussion, set the pressure and all those things. That is the only thing the media can do. And the media have been doing that very, very well.
That's a serious insight on the problem in Rivers State. As it happened last year up to this moment, Dr. Ngene, I want you to also, because part of the things that happened in this country, and you mentioned it, the emergence of a mega party, you mentioned it. And you know that the PDP have been the only opposition to the ruling party.
So to say.
In Nigeria at that time, you know, since 2020. Okay, even during the Buhari administration, the PDP. And they had some governors. I don't think they have just one now.
No, I think they say 4.
Okay. So, and
In a 36 state.
so, and now, majority of the governors have cross-carpeted to the APC. What do you think were responsible for that? Wike has been in PDP and seems to be trying to kill PDP. Of course, Makinde, the governor of for Oyo State, mentioned it. Makinde said that Wike said he will hold PDP for Tinubu. That they did not. That is not what they discussed with Tinubu, because he was part of the G5, you know. So, and at the end of the day, PDP is where it is. A factional PDP. We have 2 factions. ANEKE have not accepted any of them, and the local government election in Abuja. There's an election in Abuja. The election in Abuja, PDP do not have any candidate yet, pending pending the outcome of the court matter between the 2 factions of PDP. Wike on one side and Turaki with the governors on the other side, Makinde, Bala, and the rest of others. So, how do you view that scenario? Today, ADC has come on board. And Obi, with other followers of the Obedient, have joined the ADC.
Thank you very much. Well, for me, I have followed the opposition parties in Nigeria over quite some time now. I have my thinking regarding them. For me, the question would be, what is the new thing that the opposition party is going to bring? Who are the key actors? What manifesto? What is the new thing? Because when you look at a PDP, APC, these are birds of identical plumage. They flock together. However,
let me stop you there and pause for a break. We'll come back. You continue with that. This is where we're going to pause for a break. When we come back, our guests are still here, and then we'll begin to dissect our topic 2025 in retrospect. I have Dr. Maswalengene and Dr. Iboke still in the studio. I remain your host, Rex Arum.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. ANEKE TV, move with the world.
The viewer, you're welcome back after our break. And our guests are still here. We are still on our topic, 2025 in retrospect. Dr. Ngene was discussing on the politics of
mega party formation and opposition.
And so on. So, Dr. Ngene, please, sorry I cut you off.
No, but it was important that you do so. It's part of the business of the media. The truth is that I was saying earlier that we are used to mergers of political parties when they want to take power from the ruling party. When I look at PDP and APC, I see birds of identical plumage that flock together. It's just a question of nomenclature, change of name. I'm looking at ADC. In ADC, I'm seeing people who used to be in Labour, people who used to be in PDP, people who used to be in APC. So what has changed? Is the formation of the ADC in the best interest of Nigerians, where those who hold power do not care about the welfare of Nigerians? They see Nigerian people as objects to be exploited and never to be treated properly. Are they thinking of ADC just to take presidential power? I ask these questions because I can see what happened in the last election, where so many unknown quantities were thrown up by the Labour Party. Nigerians in their numbers who were dissatisfied with the PDP and the APC, as it were, wanted a change, a radical change, that led to the emergence of people in Enugu State House of Assembly, in other state House of Assemblies, in the National Assembly at the Senate level, at the Federal House of Representative level. Where are those people now? Why did they defect? What has happened? Nigeria is a puzzle. Maybe later I would like to know how Iboke feels about these things. But I'm coming. But I'm worried. I'm worried because is it just to change power? What new will you do for Nigeria? And so on and so forth. You remember when Iboke was talking, he spoke about how the Nigerian government was lying prostrate, almost in comatose, unable to fight the terrorists killing innocent Nigerians until the big master, the masquerade, the Iroko tree from America came and began to flog people into line. And now the Nigerian government under Tinubu began to act as if they've just woken up from slumber. We thank them for what they've done, but it's still an opportunity for us to flush out those who are enemies of progress. So, but when you talk about party, I don't know what will change, because in Nigeria, politics had become an all-comers affair. A lot of people who are involved in politics, they are not just there because of ideology. They are not just there because of their welfarist thinking. They are just there to put food on the table. They are there because they've seen that politics is also an opportunity for them to move beyond those that were ahead of them in the past. They are there because they want to loot, they want to steal, and in most cases they succeed. So when we look at what is happening in terms of mega party, we want parties. You know, in Nigeria, there's the money that ANEKE will give to political parties before election. There are people that float political parties, waiting for that opportunity. Once the time comes, they say you're organizing, you're doing this. When they take money, they just go back, those who win. Do you even know that some people who are in charge of certain parties, who are governors in some states, they are the ones that fund opposition party and have control over those who are members of that party? You will notice that the chairman, secretary, this are just there answering names. They are in the payroll of government. Do you know, in Nigeria, part of the problem of party and politics in Nigeria is the problem of funding. How are political parties funded? How come people use state resources to fund political parties? Why is there no checks and balances regarding how political parties make their money, how they spend their money, and so on and so forth? These are the problems. Because you know that there are people who believe that Nigeria is not even practicing democracy. Some say it's a quasi-democracy. A lot has happened because politics is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Do you know that even as we are talking, there are people who may have the intention of running, of joining a political party? The mere fact that they voiced it out would land them into serious trouble. That's the kind of thing we see here. But overall, we are hoping and begging God to bring men of conscience, men of goodwill, those that believe in speaking truth to power, those that have real good intentions. Because it is very sad, it's bitter when we begin to realize that Nigerians are suffering in the midst of plenty, given the plethora of God-given endowment to us as Nigerians.
So, Dr. Boke, is it as a result of the fact that these politicians lack ideology? Because you can see Obi just declared for ADC. Obi was in APGA as a governor. Obi went into PDP and ran for vice presidency. Obi went into Labour and ran for presidency. Today, Obi is in ADC with the intention of running for presidency. Are these parties sharing the same ideology that necessitated Obi's, movement to these parties one after the other? Or is it because of his personal ambition? Or do you think it is his interest, personal interest, to ensure that he works hard to better this country, that he has what it takes to be president? Of course, as Orin said, he's not going to play a second fiddle, that he's not going to deputize anybody, that he's out to run for the presidency of this country. What is your view?
Political parties in Nigeria are that, okay, let me limit you to the Fourth Republic from 1999. And not along, after the first 8 years, from 1999 to 2007, where the founding members of the PDP, especially from the PDM, People's Democratic Movement,
Alexa,
which Atiku was now a scion of the Elder family, and then of the G34, led by Ekweme, formed that nucleus to form the PDP. We saw a little bit of philosophy, ideologies, Chibokadibudem, all those, those serious politicians were there. But after 2007, after that first set left, it became an all-commerce affair. So we had people who were not professionals coming in, who didn't have professional address, coming into politics, who have never done anything in their life, coming into politics. That is where we started having problems. Some were just mere talks, and were appointed positions. Where we're doing, some were just even just because they were following politicians around. They got SAs and PAs, EAs. Some even became commissioners. Some became board members. Some became
councillors.
So they didn't have address. And what they did was to ensure that they remained there and circulate, because there's nowhere to go to. I've seen commissioners, in different places. But recently there was a video of Babatunde Fashola, son, appearing in court for a client. This is somebody who has been
governor, who
has been chief of staff to Tinubu as governor from 2004, 2003 to 2007. He became governor in 2007 to 2015. Became super minister in 2015.
Controlling ministries.
Billions, controlling key 3 ministries together.
Grade A.
3 grade A ministries merged into one because of him. And then came out in 2019. And then came out in 2023. What am I talking about? 2023. About 2024, 25, was already back in court, representing clients. Okay.
It was a subterfuge.
It might be a passion.
This sort of, it's his profession.
Yeah, it's his
a
profession.
lawyer.
He's
He's
a
a
lawyer.
advocate. So
It's not about. It may not be about money.
Many people don't have profession who are in politics.
Oh, okay.
So the only profession they have is politics, and they keep hovering around. These are the spoilers of the democratic system we have in Nigeria. They don't have anywhere, because politics, governance is meant to serve. Public office is for service to the citizens. But some people now see it, no, as a means of acquiring wealth, as a profession. And that's why some people will become local government chairmen, will become House of Assembly members, will become we go back. I know somebody who was House of Assembly member and went back to become a secretary of local government in Enugu State. In this Enugu State, this person is currently the secretary of the local government. So what are we talking about? Those people have no professional address. For those who have professional address, look at, for example, Professor Twanya. I use him as an example.
Yes, he's the vice chancellor.
If you finish serving or whatever, he went back to teaching, to his professional address, and continued his lecturing until this vice chancellorship came, and he became a vice chancellor. For all those, for most people in academics that came to serve, that left for leave of absence, came to serve, they all went back. They also the immediate commissioner for health of Enugu State. I think the same thing has gone back to his.
Look at me, I'm back in the classroom.
So everybody that has professional address, that have set for one political public position or the other, always goes back to his professional address. But what we have is that majority of those people don't have, sometimes some of them go back to their businesses, who have businesses. But there are this critical mass that don't have any other thing they are doing except politics. So for them, politics is do or die affair.
They can kill.
So they stay there, and that is why when you come to the configuration of politics in Nigeria, the political parties don't have ideology. The only single ideology they all share is power capture, which is basically why political parties are formed across the world, to access power and to get power. Everywhere in the world, political party, democracy, one of the shortcomings of democracy is that the people the general public finally vote for are not the choices of the masses, of the voters.
May not be.
Are not. Look at my postulation. They are not. Because in most democracies, it is the people the parties select as flag bearers or candidates for that position that the general public now vote for. The general public have no input to their selection process. In fact, party members have no input. It's delegates. Even in the United States, that's how it works. It is the delegates of the party that vote this candidate.
I agree with you, but after the voting, those candidates are now...
Those candidates now come out to contest in the general election. But in the first place, they are emergence of each candidate of each political party. The voters...
It may not have been the best
The voters don't ever have any input.
I agree.
Now, it behoves on the party or the system that you operate on to produce the best candidates from their parties to be flag bearers. In other climes, they bring out their best. Just like what they said. But here, when the bright people voice out their mind and they want to become
They silence them.
they start fighting them. So what do they want? They want people who, according to them, they can control.
Yes, members.
They want people like what Wike was deceived into believing, that Fubara would be kill me and I'll say yes sir kind of person, and it's all bad. So once you show that visibility, you start being, so they expect you to, even if you have it, pretend. And that is why there's a lot of problems between godfathers and godsons, because the godsons have read the language. I say, if I show myself now, this man will not give it to me. So what do? They pretend. I say they are idiots. And the godfather keep basking and say, okay, I can control it. So when you enter, they bear their fangs and they deal with you.
It happens
So,
in Enugu.
so it is clear that unless we create a system where our own cabals, political cabals, where our own political godfathers, like in Israel, the same people have basically been ruling Israel in the 70s. From Barak to Olmert to Shimon Peres to Yitzhak Rabin
to the war.
Benjamin Netanyahu. It has been a gerontocratic kind of government in Israel. But it's a service to the people that matter. Everywhere, the Democrats also, the Kennedys have been in control for a very long time, in America. But what they do that is different from what we do is that they go for their best. They try to go for their best.
And the objective is service to society.
In the name of control. And that is why you see what is happening. But again, because there's no ideological background, everybody is allowed to float across political parties.
And I also asked you about Peter Obi's entrance into ADC.
Well, it has
and how he has gone from one party to the other.
Less political party. That is why when our people were angry that Governor Peter Mbah crossed over to
ADC.
to APC, I told them it's your PDP, your Omuna. PDP is not your family. People that form PDP have gone since. You are angry that I said we should learn politics. In Nigeria, political parties are mere platforms. Rather, people follow individuals. As we are seeing in the case of Obi now, people are following him where he's going, not necessarily the party. So parties are mere platforms in Nigeria for political actualization. So that is how it works here. So you don't blame the P2B if you don't see, because first of all, the configuration of the parties are not ideological. They are for party capture. And when you see that in a place where even the political leader will deny you of the ticket, the first instinct is to move before it happens. So he has brought in a lot of viability and bite and verve to the opposition politics in Nigeria, because we are not sure where he was. But with this now, there will not be complacency anymore by the APC government, both at the national and at the
all levels.
Nationals. Because right now, what ADC should do is to just bring people to contest at all the positions to ensure that there's no kind of docility among the party people.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Ngene, do you think that the ADC will actually be a credible opposition to the present APC government?
I have my doubts. Because the problem had always been
Given
the problem of the opposition.
Of
Now I understand your question.
Politicians and
No, my problem with ADC is that there will be a fight on who becomes the presidential candidate. If you look at P2B, the Southeasterner will believe it should be him, because since the war ended in Nigeria, the civil war, we've not tested the presidency. And also given the perception of the people that he is somebody who can do the job. But politics is also a game of number. In Southeast, we have only 5 states in a 36 states nomenclature called Nigeria. How will it work? Will an Atiku be patriotic to say, I've tried a number of occasions without succeeding? Can I mobilize support for this P2B and help him if indeed the thinking, the objective is on a better Nigeria? That should be the issue. However, when you look at what had happened before the last election, when nomination of the APC ticket was almost eluding the Jagaban, and the Jagaban began to shout, Emiloko, taking people back memory lane, saying, have you forgotten it's my turn? Have you forgotten who I am? What I did to help a Tinubu that had fought for the presidential election on so many occasions and failed? What I did that made him president? How come? And was able to fight, even when they said there should be no
former president.
Yes, even when they said that there should be no buying of votes and so on. We saw him being able to get bank chief executives to be bringing money in bullion vans. And now he is governor. He is president of Nigeria for 4 years. It will not be easy for anybody to take power from him. I don't know how it's going to happen. But we are in for a Herculean task. The point is, whether you're APC, your PDP, your ADC, your Labour, Nigeria first. The welfare of Nigerians, a better Nigeria that should be better than what it is today, should be what should be uppermost in the minds of Nigerian politicians.
And Dr. Ibuke, shortly, you know, the area we have not actually touched. We have touched economy, politics.
Maybe the time may not be enough. Maybe next time you invite us.
Yes, but let us not completely leave out security. You see, the security situation, there's so much to talk about it. But the area I want you to come in is what you think should be done in 2026 to improve security of lives and property in Nigeria.
It's just the political will. There's nothing else. We have all the gadgets. We have Tucano jets. We have spent so much money on purchasing weapons. Why we are not using it or why we don't have this, what I don't know. I've always advocated and spoken firmly
technology
of the might of the Nigerian Army, of the Nigerian Navy, of the Nigerian Air Force, and the military authorities from the police to the rest. When Nigerian contingents go for multinational assignments and all those things,
they do very well.
They do best. So it's the political will, and Donald Trump should intensify the efforts to ensure that it's always on our neck, breathing down, that we do the right thing. And the Americans should ensure that they don't remove their legs from the pedal to make sure they ensure that Nigerian government do the right thing and support them whatever tactically, militarily the strikes should continue. Assets of those sponsoring terror should be frozen. Those who are enablers of terror who come out on TV should be prosecuted in the International Court of Justice and brought to be arrested, and Interpol should arrest them, and so that we can start to have sanity for people, for all the enablers.
Yes, to arrest corporates and so on. But we have not seen the names and the arrests of those indicted to be involved in this terrorism.
The Igbos will always say that we are happy that there's an external influence, and that external influence is coming from the first world, America. Just like Iboke had said, the agenda has been set. Let them continue to do a cleansing ceremony so that it will act as a deterrent to others who may want to do such ugly lines.
Yeah, but I'm saying arrests has not been made.
It will be made. Don't worry, we don't know. A lot will happen. A lot will happen. I'm very optimistic about that.
A lot will happen in Nigeria in 2026. That's part of the submissions of our guests on Arena on ANEKE TV program this time. This is where we are going to draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. Just do join us on the same program next time. I want to thank you, Dr. Iboke, even within the shortest notice you've been able to come here and, of course, lay your mind and everything to bear as it affects Nigeria in 2025.
It is not for nothing that Iboke is the chairman of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts in Enugu.
Okay.
So he's a man you can rely on.
That is exactly, of course, we can rely on him always. And you know, right here, we are still building, so always be in Macedonia to help us.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Maswangen, of course, is our dependable ally. He comes in, super analyst.
Thank you very much.
Teacher. A prominent member of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts.
Thank you, my chair.
So please, just do join us next time to analyze the situation.
The people are doing very well. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you, viewer, for being with us. Bye-bye.
Join us on Arena, ANEKE TV's premium current affairs program, where politics, development, and governance come alive. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we host top professionals and thought leaders who speak their minds on issues shaping Nigeria and the world. It's inclusive, enriching, and absolutely captivating.
The roadmap is, let's have our environment secured so that investors can come.
If you don't know what economic security is, kidnapping will tell you what it is. You kidnap for ransom.
Customers are going to get these meters, and like we said, it's at no cost.
There are things that dialogue can handle. But when you leave it, I want to use a kinetic approach alone. You cannot.
For discussions that promise insight and deliver truth, stay tuned, stay informed, and keep watching Arena only on ANEKE TV.